The Testimony of Integrity. Quote, "The virtue involved in helping those one loves is not selflessness or sacrifice, but integrity." Unquote. Ayn Rand. Regardless of how you think you feel about Rand, in all of my years of pondering the most concise expression of the testimony of integrity, I've never been able to improve on the above quote. Integrity is defined as the strict adherence to a cultural moral code. A personal moral code is often acceptable, provided that its contents are only a more stringent subset of the culture's code and it doesn't sabotage the community. As a practical matter, where the Quaker testimony of simplicity brings about personal well-being, our testimony of integrity is a series of actions and a set of values that brings about the welfare of those we love and enhances cooperation, interdependence, and goodwill within our community. The American Quaker testimony of integrity centers on a conscientious effort to provide properly for yourself and your family such that there is excess production of capital that will benefit the community. I can't stress that enough. Your production or earnings or profits, whatever you want to call the results of your economic efforts, must produce a sufficient level of material wealth and well-being for your family such that you are able to contribute to your community meaningfully. In some cultures, this combination is in the form of a community charity or church. In our community, the contribution from the individual to the community comes in the form of collaborative work. Screaming at people while marching in protest and wearing pink hats does not count as a meaningful contribution to a community. When a tornado tore through our farm and demolished our barn complex, 20 physically fit young men accustomed to physical labor from the Anabaptist community we live in arrived at our doorstep the following day and cleaned up the debris and repaired what could be salvaged over the next 3 days. Their wives and sisters came and cooked for the men. A community working together must eat. They didn't send money, and they didn't send thoughts and prayers. They came directly to us in a spirit of fellowship, ready, willing, and more importantly, able to be of real help in our time of need. As an aside, another group tried to help, but they were not in a physical condition that could be of real and practical assistance. This might sound like I am getting ahead of myself to the Quaker testimony of community, but it is the testimonies of simplicity expressed as frugality and modesty, and integrity expressed as the proper provisioning of the family and excess capital from their productive efforts that gave these men and women the resources to be able to skip a few days of work and come to the aid of their neighbor. People living hand-to-mouth are desperate, and most people working jobs are hand-to-mouth with burdensome monthly bills for most of their careers. And desperate people have no utility for a community. Yes, part and parcel of living in an interdependent and cooperative community are that its members must be useful. The members of the community must be able to depend on each other in times of crisis and need and day-to-day necessities. Integrity is not a synonym for honesty. All honesty takes is to keep quiet. You can't lie and deceive if you don't speak. Integrity takes a consistent effort in your daily work and family budget to provide for the people who rely on you, your family and community. And notice I didn't say self-sacrifice, because the testimony of integrity is not a sacrifice. Ayn Rand famously said, quote, "Once men have accepted the idea of self-sacrifice as the good, they have accepted the idea of sacrificing others too." Unquote. The Quaker testimony of integrity is an expression of love and value and responsibility. Integrity contains no element of the sacrifice of the self or others. And bother the idea of cultural relativism. The reason you are reading this book is that the cultural norms of the broader society are inferior to Quaker culture in many ways. America once held these values universally, and now we don't. I'm merely pointing out the specifics. The Quaker precept of integrity is, like all of our testimonies, a life practice, a call to action. Not a thing or an item we can carry around in our pocket, retrieving it when needed and dusting it off and making a display of it. The Quaker testimony of integrity is not negotiable. One can't get a little bit pregnant in an environment of absolutes. At the base of this call to action is our Creator-given reason, and it is our ability to reason that is the spark of the divine within us. You are what you do. There are no thought criminals. This is the end of Chapter 5. Hi, I'm Greg Jeffers, author of the best-selling book, Prosperous Homesteading. I'm an author, writer, blogger, and homesteader. This is my labor of love. My latest novel, 7 Years of Famine, is available now at Amazon. Thank you.